Hello guys, so today I am reading a new story, The Gold Watch. Now, about the author. Ponjikkara Rafe, a Malayalam writer, was born in 1924 in Kerala. The theme of his stories is drawn from the real life of the poor people and workers who worked hard for their livelihood. He was the member of a trade union and staunchly criticized the church as well as priests. He was closely attached with the life of laborers. He considered their problems and tried to solve them. Rafi, as a writer, is famous for having understanding and tenderness of feelings. His characters come from the real life situations, the life led by the people living below the poverty line. His stories are charming and enjoyable. He wrote novels besides stories. Now, about the story. The Gold Watch is a story originally written in Malayalam but subsequently translated into English by K. Ayappa Panikar. In this story, we find how a man becomes a victim to temptations and commits a theft under the influence of that temptation. Such temptation may arise in a person due to many reasons, but here the hero is suffering from poverty and hunger and steals the gold watch of the engineer of the factory where he works. After that, he is afraid of being caught. His conscience constantly pricks him for doing so. He puts back the gold watch on a table from where he had taken it away. In this way, he gets rid of his fear of being caught and defamed. Now read the story and share the feelings of the hero of the story. The writer has successfully described the life of Sanku and his thorny problems. As on many previous nights, Sanku could not get any sleep that night. He turned and tossed in his bed, but it was no use. The more he thought, the worse he felt. He closed his eyes and lay on his torn mat in the darkness, and yet he could see it as clearly as during the day. A deserted office room, when everyone had gone out for rest or for lunch. The glass window was only partially closed. On one end of the table, inside, were a few fat volumes, at the other end a pen, an ink bottle, and so forth, and in between was a gold watch with its gold chain placed on a book. Open the window and stretch out your hand about a foot and you can pick it up. Everyone is out for lunch, nobody will know. Sanku remembered his efforts, his cowardice, and his vacillation during the past few days. He had never seen anyone there at that time, and yet he had been afraid. He had trembled and felt breathless. That was why he had refrained from taking the watch every time. It would not do to put it off any longer. If he thought any further, he would not be able to do anything. He might even blurt out his intention accidentally. So he must take it tomorrow. Suppose he did not. Sanku's thoughts began to linger over the thorny problems of his life. Tomorrow would be the third day of the month. In another 3 days, he would get his pay, 13 rupees for 13 days. He had to pay 4.5 rupees for purchases at the store. There would be a balance of 8.5 rupees. He had repaid only 5 out of the 10 rupees he had borrowed from the fund the previous month to go home for his mother's death anniversary. No, he must pay the remaining 5 rupees with interest at 6 paise a rupee a week. At the tea shop, he owed over 3 rupees for 2 weeks, besides previous arrears amounting to ₹1.50. He owed 6 rupees to Ali for supplying extra rice, bidis and other odds and ends. 1 month's house rent was 3 rupees. In addition to these sums, He had taken small loans of 12 paise, 25 paise, and 50 paise from several people, and his wife had reminded him 2 days before about the 1 rupee to be paid to the fish woman. Sanku mentally added up the total amount that he needed. What he was going to get was just 8.5 rupees. What he owed was 22 rupees 13 paise. He had other needs too. He had borrowed 3 rupees from his wife. This was out of the sum she had slowly saved up now and then in order to buy a waist chain for the younger child. He had assured her that he would buy it out of his pay that month. Sanku's heart beat uncontrollably fast. Through his heartbeats, he could hear the harsh voice of the tea shop owner, Kochunni, Ali's hollow laughter and vulgar words, and the irritating taunt of Lonappo, who was in charge of the fund. He felt that they were all surrounding him like rowdy boys, armed with sticks, gathering around a stray dog. What a horrible scene! Finding it unbearable, Sanku turned over on his stomach and thought, I have no alternative but to pick it up tomorrow. Will it not fetch at least 20 rupees? Even 15 will do. 15 plus 8 and half. That is 23.5 rupees. It will fetch more than 15. He would be able to pay his debts and live in peace, a life free from debts. With a feeling of relief, he drifted into a light sleep. It was morning. What are you still asleep? Sanku's wife said gently, shaking his shoulders. It is long after sunrise. Sanku raised his head at once. His wife picked up the younger child who was crawling up to her and asked Sanku, Don't you have to go to work today? Oh yes, he said and got out of bed. He stepped down into the country yard in a hurry, watching the golden rays of the morning, sun piercing the lush bamboo foliage on the eastern side and brightening the old palm leaf thatch. He washed his face and hands as usual, put on his working clothes, and was about to leave for his factory when his wife said, Listen, you must buy some ointment for the child. She threw a commanding at him. Sanku felt that each of the sore on the child's festering body was staring at him a gruesome way. A moment passed in silence. What sort of ointment? Sanku asked like a fool. Ointment for the sores, continued the wife. You mean you have not seen the sores all over the child's body? Yes. How many paise worth of ointment? At least 13 paise worth. We must apply it for 3 days at least. Sanku began to walk with bent head. Please, she called out in a soft voice. Sanku looked back. She spoke gently. Please bring 2 ripe bananas when you come back in the evening. The baby starts crying at night and I have no milk to give him. She stood there pulling up her blouse with her left hand. Then Sanku noticed her belly bulging out. Was yet another burden on the way. Sanku was stunned. He cursed himself and with a deep sigh he resumed his walk to a factory. Listen, do not forget, the wife reminded him. Sanku nodded his head and walked on. At 1 o'clock, the bell rang for the interval. Everyone rushed in haste to homes, hotels or tea shops for lunch. Sanku was the only one who did not go anywhere. He stood leaning against a pillar in a corner on the west side of the office. His heart was clouded and bursting with impatience. A few moments passed. The engineer, a short, fat Englishman with cat-like eyes who looked like a marble statue, got out of the room, closed the door and left. As usual, there was no watch on his wrists. Sanku's heart felt cool with relief. A few more moments passed. Sanku looked all around. There was nobody in sight. He walked toward the office. The glass window, as usual, was only partially closed. The gold watch was on the table. How it glittered! His heart beat faster. The Englishman would return after lunch and his siesta only by 4 o'clock. A good opportunity. There was nobody around. 1, 2, 3. 6 or 7 minutes passed. Suddenly, Sanku thought, suppose someone sees me, as in the past few days. Fear pushed him forward. He took a few steps, looked around, but saw no one. Prompted again by urgent need, he walked towards the room. Once again he looked around. Nobody was there. A shudder passed through his veins. His heart throbbed. 1 second passed. He stretched out a hand and the gold watch was in it. Nervously his eyes made a quick survey. No one was there at all. Trembling, he put the watch in the pocket of his trousers. He held his breath and walked forward in haste. After about 10 steps, he looked back. Then he saw someone walking quickly along the eastern corridor. Obviously, he was going to the timekeeper's office. He must have seen everything. Perhaps he was hastening to inform the watchman at the gate. Oh God! Had he bungled? Sanku stood like a pillar, petrified. The gold watch seemed to burn his pocket like a burning cinder. It sent sparks along his nerves. The whole world seems to be spinning around him in a blazing fire. Flame arose from every particle of sand, no shade of coolness anywhere. Everything was on fire, burning, burning. Brother Sanku, why are you standing here like a pillar? Sanku turned with a start and saw Madhavan standing close by. Sanku stammered out, no reason, for nothing. Go on, my liar, Madhavan said with a laugh and walked away to his work. He must have gone and reported the theft. My God, everyone probably knew about it. All the 800-odd workers at the factory would surround him noisily. They would look at him in scorn. They would all remark with derision, thief, thief. Then he would be taken before the white boss and reprimanded. How sternly he would look at him. Sanku would surely be dismissed. That fellow, Vaki, was dismissed just for taking an old umbrella. A cold fear entered Sanku's heart, which was choked with depressing thoughts. The guard would be waiting at the entrance of the timekeeper's office. He would catch him. No, that would lay danger. He would put this back in its place, a scorching cinder that was burning him. But then, oh no, he said to himself on second thoughts. But finally he made up his mind. He was at the office room. The window still remained half open. Sanku looked around. No one was there, on one at all. He took the gold watch quickly out of his pocket. His hand trembled like an aspen leaf. He presently remembered his home and his unpaid debts. What was to be done? Sanku felt suffocated. The sound of a footstep behind him. Someone was returning. He put the watch on the table and breathlessly walked away. Thank you.